What's going on, guys? It's Dazzy here checking in. Happy belated Father's Day. I just want to give a shout out to all the dads out there. What you do is not unseen. I'll tell you that right now. I'm so grateful for the dad in my life who raised me and just taught me basically to be a man, what being a man means, and really being a spiritual leader for our family. That's the greatest weapon against evil, my friends, is when the head of your household is the spiritual leader and strives to be like Jesus and becomes an example for you. And I just want to give a shout out to my dad. He actually got me into hunting. He knew my passion early on was to hunt, and he wasn't really into hunting himself, but he took the hunter safety course with me. He took me out into the woods and we went squirrel hunting. We sat under a tree for about an hour, so it wasn't super eventful. We kind of got bored and went in and got some lunch, but just those memories with my dad, that one hunt, was so meaningful to me. And he also got me into the Appalachian Trail, the hiking and all that. So I fully credit my thru hike to my dad, as far as giving me the inspiration to do it. So love you, Dad. That's a shout out to you, and just shout out to all the dads out there. Thank you guys for what you do and providing for your family. It's hard going every day in there to bring home the bread and keep the lights on. It is not unseen. So thank you. But anyways, I logged on here today so I could talk about, I wanted to go through some of my old hunting stories from deer that I have killed but not necessarily made a YouTube video on. I wasn't filming at the time or whatever, but there's also value and lessons learned from this. Today I'm going to be talking about this deer right here. This deer is I don't know, probably a 70-inch buck. Nothing too fancy. Not almost a 6. I don't even know if I'd count that as a 6 point. The time broke off. So this deer, as small as it is, means an incredible amount to me. I would say probably the most time spent bow hunting. I think I started bow hunting at 18. My buddy Seth and I bought some bows at the gun shack in that area. I don't know if you guys have ever been there. I still go there to get my bow service. It's a good archery place, but we bought bows. I think it was a 35 or 40 pound Martin. I bought a little dinky bow. This thing, I think I got it for like $500-600 back in the day. I remember shooting it a bunch and trying to figure out how to hunt deer. I walked around on public land nearby where I grew up. Never even got close. And then I got invited to hunt a guy from my old church's farm. And that's where I killed my first deer in general. That was a shotgun. But I also bow hunted there, and I remember shooting over the back of a deer at 20 yards, using the wrong pin, making all the rookie mistakes you need to make when you learn from your experience. When I joined the military, I did my initial training in Fort Benning, Georgia. I don't know what it's called now anymore, but it's right outside Columbus. I was really into pig hunting. I met a guy. What was his name? His name was Captain Horley. He was there for the captain's career course, and I don't know if he's ever watching this channel or he's ever found my stuff, but he got me into pig hunting down there. He loved killing pigs. We could go on there as soldiers onto the land navigation course back in the day, and one day I remember going out there with my rifle, and this I didn't know what I was doing. I was like, alright, I know what a pig track looks like. It looks a little different than a hog track. I'm just walking around the land nav course. I ran into a huge rattlesnake. Had to navigate around that. And I remember going into this dried up creek bed that still had some mud. I found some wallows in there. So I'm like, alright, I'm going to creep along this creek bed here. I'm creeping along the creek bed. I see the tracks. And I look up through the bushes and I see some movement. I pull up my scope. It's got like a 16 times zoom on it. I'm like, oh, that's a big old hog, man. That's a big old hog. And then I get the sights on it. I squeeze the trigger. I through the bushes. I'm shooting through some brush, and I blast it. And it dies right there. I'm like, heck yeah, dude. So I walk over to it. I'm like, is it alive? I got the rifle on it. I'm like, and then I grab it out of the bushes. And I shot a dang piglet. It was a little bacon bit. There was nothing left of that thing after I blasted it. That was my one and only pig kill in Georgia, and it was great. I was so proud, even with that piglet, man. It was so tender. I threw it in a crock pot whole, pretty much. That's how small it was. But yeah, good memories. Tried to kill one with a bow one time, and I missed it, and it got all pissed off, and it started running at me. And thankfully, my buddy was there with a rifle, and he shot it. And we were 2 miles into the swamps in Georgia, and we had tied its legs to a little small tree branch and carried out. That was a good 200-pound hog. That was a big one. Anyways, back to the story about my first year. Well, fast forwarding to getting out of the Army. So I get out of the Army, and I'm like, all right, I got a little time. Let's do some bow hunting here. And I have this one buddy, Nathan, and he's one of the most generous people I know. He didn't even question it or anything. He was like, hey man, come on over and hunt my place. I'm like, all right, I'll hunt my place. So he's got this, I think it's like 6 or 7 acres. He's got a house on a hill. Down the hill, there's a valley. On the bottom of the hill, there's a creek. And then on the other side of the creek, there's a couple trees. He's got an old ladder standing there. And one of the problems he's found was the deer would bust him all the time. They'd see him in the tree because they'd smell him. It's pretty exposed there. And that was the only option I had to hunt, unless I wanted to hunt on the ground. And so what I did was I got one of my old ghillie suits, and I put that on and got in the tree and looked like a bush. And I remember putting a scent, it was a doe estrus on a tree, and I'm sitting up there with my bow, and this is years of bow hunting, not seeing nothing, not getting any kills, missing probably 2 or 3 deer. And all of a sudden this buck comes out from my right. I'm at the hill, there's a creek, it's walking, it's eating. I'm sitting down, I'm like, I can't, if I move this deer's gonna bust me. So I'm sitting there with my bow. He's feeding, I would say about 20 yards, maybe a little less. And I got my 35, 40-pound bow, I draw back. I'm shaking like a leaf, I'm like, and then I release the arrow, and I'm like, what the heck happened? I thought I shot the arrow was barely hanging out of the chest of the deer. It was very low. And I just see it stand there. It keeps eating. I'm like, what the heck? And then all of a sudden I see blood start spurting out like crazy. And then the deer jumps like this. And then it runs 5 feet and falls over on its back and starts wiggling around. And the deer just died right there. And from then on, I was like, what the heck, dude? And the deer just freaking died right there. I was pumped. I was like, yeah! Shaking the bow up in the air and all that. And it was one of the greatest feelings ever, killing the deer. And then just the excitement afterwards was amazing. It was dead right there. I saw it dead, so there was no track job. I'll tell you what, my expectations had changed completely after that. I was like, man, you hit a deer and it dies right there. That never happened again. I never had a deer die within 5 yards of hitting unless I spined it or something like that. And so just the whole experience of killing a deer with your bow, the amount of shakes I had, I was shaking like a leaf. And my buddy Nathan, he was up at the house, and he came down and celebrated with me. It was awesome, man. He showed me how to butcher the deer, and I learned a lot that day. I didn't know how to cut the bunghole out. I didn't know anything about that. I was looking like an idiot out there, I'll just tell you that. So that was my first buck, and I buried this skull in Nathan's yard, and we forgot about it, disappeared, and then one day he found it probably last year. So this was 3 or 4 years later. He found it buried in the ground. And it was like, I was a kid in a candy store trying to see this thing and everything. So the big 2 lessons I learned from this hunt was, number 1, never give up, man. I grinded for a while. I was getting pretty disheartened. I didn't think it would ever happen. And one day, everything just came together, you know. I thought I had a bad shot on the deer, and it was a perfect heart shot. A little low. It was like the bottom of the heart, maybe in the arteries below the heart. So that's rule number 1 I learned, was never give up. Number 2 is think outside the box. You know, that tree was a place to be exposed. I think that ghillie suit really helped, and the doe estrus kind of distracted him from looking around. He kind of let his guard down. He's a young buck. He's not smart. Maybe an older buck came in, he would have busted me, but worked for this guy. So, yep. Anyway, guys, we're going to do a giveaway at this video. If you made it this far, I'm going to do 2 giveaways. The first one, so all you got to do before I do this is, all you got to do is pay for shipping for it. I'll get the shipping once we get all the info figured out. But shoot me a message on Instagram or Facebook, and we will figure out the details there. But the first giveaway is going to be, whoever comments first on this video will win a Execution Over Excuses crew neck or hat. I don't have the nice snapback that I like to wear all the time, the camo one. I have a dad hat, which is still pretty cool. So that's the first one. First guy to comment on the video gets the hat. This only accounts for continental United States, and unless you want to pay for the shipping across the ocean or whatever. And the second giveaway is going to be a hat, and it's going to be for, I have a video, it's called Snow Tracking Whitetails in Maryland. I need to know what rifle I'm carrying. I need to know what rifle I'm carrying down to the model. So you can figure those 2 things out. Find it on my channel. Good on you. And God bless. Execution over excuses.